the Vice President of the United States.
This morning, at an event for college sports players, Vice President Kamala Harris was keen to talk about President Biden.
Joe Biden's legacy of accomplishment over the past 3 years is unmatched in modern history. In one term, he has already, yes, you may clap.
But she left the stage without addressing the question everyone is asking. Is she his successor as Democratic presidential nominee and potentially president? Since Biden withdrew yesterday, her campaign has garnered $50 million. And across the airwaves, senior Democrats are lining up behind her, trying to avoid a chaotic competition for the succession.
Kamala Harris is someone who can bring our party together. She can go toe-to-toe with Donald Trump, and she can win in November.
I'm very excited to work with her as president. I haven't seen this kind of excitement in the Democratic Party in quite a long time.
And she is well equipped to prosecute, I'm going to emphasize, to prosecute the case against Donald Trump.
Kamala, you don't have to say it. Kamala. Kamala.
President Trump has long tried to belittle her, but it may be tricky for him as a convicted criminal facing off against a former prosecutor.
Nobody likes her. She could never be the first woman president. She could never be. That would be an insult to our country.
Today, Republicans were scoffing that she'll pose no threat to Trump in the election.
We're excited that she's at the top of the ticket. This is going to be an exciting election cycle for us, and we're going to defeat her, and we're going to save the country.
Less than 24 hours on, and President Biden is yesterday's man. But outside the White House, Kamala Harris wasn't necessarily seen as tomorrow's woman.
Do you think that Kamala Harris has a better chance against Trump than Joe Biden would?
Honestly, no, I don't. I think Kamala Harris is from California, sort of is isolated out there, and there's a little bit of extreme views out there. I don't think Kamala Harris can beat Donald Trump. And I'm not a Trump fan either, just saying that, though.
Do you think Kamala would be more competitive with Trump?
No, I don't. She doesn't really answer questions directly and doesn't seem to know a lot about what she's talking about. She kind of talks in circles.
There's some truth in that. The vice president is often mocked for her word salads.
You need to get to go and need to be able to get where you need to go to do the work and get home. Find times to express how we feel about the moment that is a reflection of joy, because, it comes in the morning. Have you discussed
But she's a ferocious interrogator, notably of Trump's Supreme Court judge candidate, Brett Kavanaugh.
Have you had any conversation with anyone at that firm?
I would like to know the person you're thinking of, because what if there's
I think you're thinking of someone and you don't want to tell us.
She and Biden clashed when she ran for the nomination last time, accusing him of refusing to support the busing of black children to white schools in the 1960s.
There was a little girl in California who was part of the second class to integrate her public schools, and she was bused to school every day. And that little girl was me. You were wrong to oppose busing in America.
Today, the Lincoln Project, a pressure group of never-Trumper former Republicans, threw their weight behind Kamala Harris.
Vice President Kamala Harris is ready, experienced, and as a tough prosecutor, Kamala Harris dealt with men like Trump all the time.
She's been a loyal vice president and may appeal more to women, the young, and to black voters than Biden. But assuming she is the candidate, will that be enough to beat Donald Trump in November?
And Lindsay's with me now. Lindsay, please don't do a Mary Poppins and fly away. This is extraordinary weather. Apologies for the weather. Nancy Pelosi, who kept quiet yesterday, former Speaker of the House, very powerful woman in Democratic circles, has now come out and endorsed Kamala Harris.
Yes, and she has. And she's made a long statement where one of the things that she raises is Kamala Harris's strong record on abortion and women's rights.
and they're hoping that that is going to be a big draw for voters. The one person who hasn't yet spoken out in favor of Kamala Harris is President Obama, and I think that people are waiting for him.
What's that all about?
Well, it's not quite clear. I mean, I think there are some people who are still muttering about maybe they could have an open convention and have different people competing. But the other thing that's happened is when I did that story, which was about an hour ago, $50 million have been pledged in the last 24 hours. We're now up to $150 million. Now, as you know, in America, look where the money goes, and the money is now on Kamala Harris.
Now, every time there's an election, we obsess about who is going to be the vice presidential pick, and then every time we say, well, actually, it doesn't really move the dial. Does it move the dial this time, and who's in the running?
Look, it's important. One of the reasons that Kamala Harris is likely to get this nomination is because she has been thoroughly vetted. She was vetted before she became vice president. And so it's going to have to be somebody who they can vet. And that means tax records. You can't have any tiny thing in your background. So there's going to be a limited number of people. And I think that the feeling is, because she is a black woman, that it's likely to be a white man.
Plenty of those around.
There are enough white men in American politics, and they're hoping that one of them will be suitable to be her vice president. There's lots of different names which are coming up. One of the interesting ones is Mark Kelly. He's from Arizona. He's a former astronaut. Astronauts are heroes in this country. Married to a politician, Gabby Giffords, who was shot and survived. So very strong on gun control. And also, he looks the part.
Okay, Lindsay, thank you very much indeed.